Mr. Hall.
Here.
Mr. Staples, absent.
Okay, we have a quorum, and I'll turn it over to our auditors meeting.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. We had previously sent over a little packet of just some ideas and how we're going to conduct the audit. Our responsibilities and your responsibilities. So on the first page is the engagement team. My name is Anthony Penny. I'll be the engagement partner. Debbie Davidson is here with me. She's a senior auditor. And Sarah Whitcomb, she's also a senior auditor because we have this sense we got to hurry up and get through these things in a pretty, packed amount of time. So we kind of load up the horsepower to get through the audits. So the next page, we have two categories to discuss: management's responsibility, and that has not changed. Management is responsible for the preparation of the fair presentation of the financial statements. They're responsible for designing, implementing, and establishing and maintaining internal controls over the financial statements, that how you gather things, who's responsible for what, who's going to approve, etc. And then implementing a system to achieve compliance with the laws and regulations of any transactions that you're involved in. Selection and application of appropriate accounting principles, and they do that. And if there are new things that have to be discussed or disclosed, usually help out in that area. Making all the financial records and related information available to us, reporting material audit adjustments, designing and implementing programs and controls to prevent and detect fraud, informing us about any that they know or suspect. Assuming management's responsibility relating to, we have a couple of tax returns that we do on these, and the financial statements, because we help you draft them, but management has to look them over and have the knowledge to be able to challenge anything that's in the drafts that we help prepare. And then this is an item, this next bullet, which will come out. There's a new auditor's opinion letter which will come out this year, and it will talk about evaluating whether there are conditions or events that raise substantial doubt about each entity's ability to continue as a going concern. This concept has always been out there, but kind of never elevated to this magnitude of publicity. And basically, under the new rule, first it was the auditor's responsibility. This was years ago. The auditor's responsibility, and kind of question that. Then it was bounced back to management where it truly belongs. And now it's come down to both of us. You have to tell us if you have any fear. We have to challenge if we see anything that we feel would result in not being a going concern. The going concern period, although it's not cast in a hard line, is 1 year from the date that the financial statements are dated. So if we date this, let's say March 15th next month, we have to pretty much be sure that these entities will still be in business March 15th next year. So that's, and this new letter kind of breaks it out a little bit more clearly. It also talks about fraud, and it talks about error, material misstatements. And there's a line in there that says that fraud is harder to detect than a misstatement, because there might be collusion, there might be forgery, there might be, but you'll see that in the letter. And then but the rest of it remains the same: management's responsibility. Our responsibility is that we will audit the financial statements that you present to us. We will obtain a sufficient understanding of the internal controls to make sure that we feel they are legitimate to get to the ultimate point of the financial statements. We'll evaluate the appropriateness of the accounting policies, which mirrors some of your responsibility above. We will also discuss substantial doubt. And we'll communicate our responsibilities in relation to the audit. And establish an understanding for the terms of the engagement. We have an engagement letter. We're here today to talk to you about that. And then we'll test the compliance of certain provisions of laws, contracts, grants. And communicate to this committee in writing at the end. And use our professional judgment and exercise professional skepticism of the audit. And one of the other things that's brought out in the letter this year, the opinion letter, is to maintain independence with respect to the county. So we are independent of you. And no, there are no relationships that we are aware of. So that basically is the overall aspect for all audits. Our overall audit strategy would be, we kind of reviewed last year's. We've also started on this year's. We kind of combed the minutes are very important to us because that kind of brings the link down to the financial aspects. And so we've been through, Jackie, if you've been through, yeah, so we have, and there's a listing in here of some of the major aspects that happen in these various entities throughout the year. So we'll be looking at those to make sure that they're properly reflected in the books. So then we kind of look at each of the financial statements. And as you can see here, we break this down into high risk assessments, long-term receivables. And that's basically from the point of view of, are they going to be good? Are they going to be collected? Grants receivable and related revenue, are we going to receive that due to other governments? Related party transactions, there are some transactions in between the various entities. And then we have the post-retirement pension liabilities, which we have to reflect in the financial statement. That comes from the actuarial report that's prepared for the New York State Employees Retirement. And then any other significant or unusual transaction that we might come across or presents itself in the minutes. The moderate and low risk areas, CAD, it's there or it's not. Investments, other receivables, property and equipment, accounts payable, long-term debt, payroll and related payroll expenses, and the net position of the asset. That net position means whether assets are available for use or whether they're restricted for use, etc. So we spend a lot of time on that. This page just FASB is the Financial Accounting Standards Board. GASB is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, and they issue ASUs and statements. And these are new topics that come into that have come into vogue within the last year or so. And as we note in each of these categories, we will evaluate the impact of each of the pronouncements as it may pertain to any one of the 6 audits that we do. And we'll talk about that with management and implement these standards if necessary. I think leases are a little bit different now than they have been before, but I don't think it's going to necessarily affect the entities that we're working on. And some of these others they're kind of far out. They talk about the replacement of the interbank offering, which is the LIBOR rate, things of that nature. Those things will not pertain to any of the audits. The timetable, like I said, we've already started. We'll now take off the trial balance and audit documentation uploaded to our drives. And we will start to put together our, what we call risk assessment. A set of checklists, set of testing that we have to do. And then from that, we prepare the audit programs that we'll use to go through the financial statements, the financial records of each of the entities. And so here are the significant transactions over here. I'm not going to move on.
Excuse me.
Yes.
It says the preliminary will run through February 15th. So now we're through the preliminary,
Moved to
and
the
now we're
preliminary,
going.
now we're starting, right,
Okay,
right. We've been kind of working on this over. And that's just getting the preliminary, getting the working trial balances, particularly reading the minutes.
okay,
Doing some of our checklists.
Doing some of our checklists.
That you guys don't witness.
okay.
Yeah,
So it all goes on until March 2023. Okay,
yeah, and that, but, yeah, so after this, we're gonna start looking at the bank reconciliations. Looking at the receivables, making sure that they're still collectible, coming in on time, whatever. And, having discussions with Patrick and Kim about, the various transactions and the various records, so. So these are the significant transactions, and we'll kind of look at these, kind of closely, because these are basically the backbone of the transactions that happen in each one of these entities. And so we'll want to make sure that they're, properly reflected.
You wouldn't be able to have that list.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. So, and, that's why the minutes are extremely important, because they're the thread between you down to management and then into the financial records, and so, yeah. So Patrick is a happy camper, he got a little money out of St. Lawrence Health Systems. I will tell you, Patrick, I was at the meeting when they mentioned that, and he said, oh, we had to pay the IDA fees, and I immediately popped up and said, some of that went to St. Lawrence County, didn't it?
It certainly did,
And so, we're glad to do it.
and that's through the IDA staff that the board is supposed to issue CPC.
So. I don't think we've come across anything that we think is terribly unusual. It all seems pretty routine at this time, but the devil's, we get to that. That's pretty much where we are. Any questions, any?
and when was the last time you did the IDA audit?
Oh, well, I've always kind of been in the background, right, so I kind of like second reviews on that. So, yeah,
So this will be good to have you. Right, for the first set of
right,
good.
This seems pretty standard to what we've done in the past.
right.
And I didn't pick up any significant
No,
change.
no, it's just that you might be a little alarmed when you see that, the opinion letter, where it starts talking about,
We
going
didn't do that
concern.
last year.
No,
No?
it's gonna be brand new, it's brand new.
Okay, it must have been on the other board.
And all they're really doing is elevating, it's going concerns kind of got to be in vogue, so to say. And, people always concerned about, well, gee, you were good at the end of your audit, and then all of a sudden, 6 months later, you're in the dumper, what's going on here? So, I think the financial failures out there in the industry, so then, okay, here's what we gotta do, so, yeah.
One thing you mentioned, I don't know if I misunderstood it, when we talk about taxes. Do you do our tax form?
There's 2 990s, they are not tax forms per se, they're informational reports that go to the federal government.
Okay, and you,
And we prepare those, yeah.
exactly,
It's just, it's informational, to them all. There's no money involved.
okay, so we don't have to pay for it?
But oh, what? Yeah.
Okay,
So we make sure that those, because you have, they're not, the 2 that we do them for are nonprofits.
right.
So they go into that category. Oh.
Good.
Any other questions?
Andy? Amber, Patrick, got any questions?
We have a executive session.
Yes, is that a motion?
Yes.
I'll second that motion that we go into executive session. I will point out that there will be no action taken in executive session or after executive session. So this will end our recorded portion of the meeting. And I thank you. Oh, the reason for executive session was to discuss the financial, performance of a corporation. Thank you.